Did you see that big dick-shaped storm that's coming through the fucking US?
No, I have not. I have not seen it.
It's 1,500 miles, dude. Um, and
Is
it's
it a
spo-
winter? It's a winter storm, right?
yeah,
That's what we're supposed to be getting hit with this weekend.
yeah, it's all ice and snow.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. It's a New York winter, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, they don't know how to handle it here. Like,
oh yeah, I'm sure Louisville is not used to cold like that, right?
yeah,
So,
they're expecting, I think, 6 to 8 inches. And I'm like, all right, it's gonna shut the city down. Like, that's cool.
well, the city, see, New York is quite different because, especially in the city, Manhattan, when it snows, it doesn't. It's hard to stick,
Right.
just because of all the heat coming up from
All the
the underground,
traffic and
right?
shit.
The
Yeah.
subway, you know what I mean? So there's a lot going on in the underground in New York. So it brings up a lot of the heat, right? So
Yeah.
it doesn't the snow doesn't stick unless we get some kind of winter storm. It's really not like snow compared to what everyone else is used to in that live in like winter states, let's say,
Right.
right? Even Massachusetts or Connecticut, I'm sure that their snow is a lot heavier than what we have, right? It sticks a lot longer, in other
Yeah.
words.
So there's a place in Michigan, Holland, Michigan, that um they ran a bunch of pipes under streets and sidewalks. I think it's like 160 miles of like streets and sidewalks, and they've got hot water that circulates through them, so it doesn't
Smart.
this yeah, shit doesn't ever freeze. It's pretty fucking
That's,
cool.
that's smart.
Hell yeah. Well, so dude, I'm super conversational.
Sure.
Uh, we'll just get this sumbitch rolling and
Sure.
see where it goes. Sound good?
Sure, man.
Hell yeah. Hey everyone, we're here with Warren Lee from 25 to Life. If you don't know him, you should check him out. Really old hardcore band, started in 91 and has kind of went apart and came back together and just recently regrouped last year, right?
Sure. Yeah. It's I think that the band officially started 91, 92 in Astoria, Queens in Harry Minas's garage, right? That's where Fred, Harry, and Frank, the three original members, got together and started jamming, right? And then later got the singer. And then that lineup was only, I think, around for maybe a couple of months. And then I replaced Frank, and then that lineup was I wasn't around too long. I think I would say about 2 to 3 years, maybe two and a half years. But we did the majority of all the touring, right? That lineup, me, Fred, this lineup, right?
Yeah,
Without our current singer Jay, right? The majority of the touring, right? Harry left kind of towards the end, and then me and Beto left, and then Fred stayed aboard and played for a number of years, I think, and then disbanded. I think they just stopped playing. I don't know if they disbanded or not. They just stopped playing. Um, I kind of lost touch with everyone because I kept I stayed in music, right? I ended
yeah.
up um leaving the band and going to work for Vision of Disorder, and then basically that kind of just went and turned into a long time. It snowballed into other bands, and then
Right.
it's kind of a long story, but and then so that's what happened there, and then the band I think reformed in I want to say it was 2017, right, with Fred Beto, and then
Yeah.
a new singer, Stickman from Fury 5, and then I think it was Mike and Seth from the lineup afterwards, or after I left the band, right? So
Yep. And then they I think put out a an EP in 2018.
sure. And then I got back in touch with Beto is kind of how this started going again, right? We just got, I don't know, whatever, we just didn't keep in touch over the years. And then when we reconnected, we kind of were, it just kind of picked up where we left off. And I just really wanted to jam with him, right? So
Hell
we
yeah.
started jamming and talking, and then as soon as we got the other guys aboard, we were all right. Let's do it. And then we had a couple months of tryouts and figuring out who we're going to get to sing, and we ended up with Jay, right, from a band called Bayway.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think he was the absolute best choice, right? So
That's
he's a great
fucking
addition to our lineup, and just the energy he adds is fantastic, right? So
So how does that feel for you to like obviously, right? You were out on the road with other bands for a number of years, like you, and now you're back playing with, this band that you played with 30 fucking years ago.
Kind
Jesus
of crazy.
Christ,
Yeah,
dude.
it's pretty crazy. When we first got together, it was like, holy shit. We did the math and it was like, all right, it's about 27, 30 years
Yeah.
since we had jammed, right? At least the four of us, right? So um it's different because I have a lot more experience. If I can think back, remember back to when I was in the band 27 years ago, I didn't know shit. I
Right.
remember even sound checking and kind of being like, why are we sound checking? What's the point of this? And then realizing, oh, we got to listen to the monitor. You know what I mean? That I just didn't. I was like, oh, okay, like
Yeah.
great. You know what I mean? So now, being back in that role, I kind of have a lot more experience, right? I know kind of, you know what I mean? So, it's easier actually, and it's more fun, right? So not saying it wasn't fun back then, but it's just fun to jam with the guys, man. That's we jam once a week, and that's really the most fun part for me
Hell
personally.
yeah. I
Yeah,
would say so. I mean, that's, I think when you get together with friends and you can just go, okay, let's play.
yeah,
Okay, you know.
yeah, exactly. So the live shows, I guess, are not so much fun for me. I like doing them, don't get me wrong, but they're kind of nerve-wracking for me, right? So I'm just not used to being in that position, right? So
Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's different, right? Being one of the stagehands or techs, right? That helps
yeah,
the band
sure,
load in, load out, and then
sure.
being the guy in front, like, hold on.
Yeah. Yeah, thank God I'm not singing, right? So I wouldn't enjoy that very much at all, right? So
I don't know, maybe you might fucking
no,
be like,
I
oh, that's
wouldn't no, I because then definitely everybody's definitely looking at you, right? So
100%.
yeah.
That's fucking funny. So, are you guys writing new music?
Oh yeah, we've got currently I don't know when this episode's gonna drop, but
Probably like a week or so.
yeah, so we'll probably by then have about 2 to 3 songs written, new
Oh,
songs, right? So, and then our first show is February 9th, our first full show. We played kind of two surprise sets, uh, one back in I think it was October, and then one recently, right? So that was back in November or whatever it was. So
is that the one that was outside?
yeah, that was the first one. It
Okay.
was cool. We just so Discontent, the singer Caden is our guitar player Beto's son,
Oh,
right? So that's kind of, he asked, hey, would you guys come up and do a couple songs, at the end of the set? So yeah, sure, why not? So we all showed up and just kind of did it. It was kind of we didn't know what to expect. Like even when I showed up, I was like, holy shit, this is outside. What the fuck did we sign up for? You know what I mean? Good thing it wasn't too fucking cold, right? So
right,
um, but yeah, that was fun. That was super fun because I really didn't know what to expect from Jay, right? We had never done a show. I
right.
just I didn't know what to expect from him. Obviously we, jammed with him in the studio and stuff, but live I just didn't know what to like, and it was ended up being like perfect, right? So
Yeah. I feel like it's a very different world musically up there in the Northeast than it is, but honestly, fucking everywhere. When it comes to like musicians, like there's great musicians everywhere, but it's just, I think, a whole other animal up there.
sure, I think it's for at least the tri-state area, which is kind of like even Boston, which kind of includes Boston, which is usually doesn't, but if like Jersey, New York, and Connecticut, there's just a big scene
Yeah.
in those 3 states alone, right? You know what I mean? New
Especially with,
York being the mecca of like the center of hardcore at one point, right? In
yeah.
the 90s. And Jersey followed, it's right there, neighboring state, and Connecticut as well, right? So
Yeah, I mean,
it
so many fucking powerhouses from that area, you know,
sure.
VOD, of course, and Sick of
Yep.
It All and Hatebreed and
Ball, agnostic fronts,
Cro-Mags,
yeah,
fucking,
yeah, absolutely, man. There's
yeah,
a list of the bands that I mean, even those bands are the more popular ones, right? So you can
right.
go deeper, Sub-Zero, right? Man, I could fucking
Go all day, I know.
yeah, 451, right? You know what I mean? Close Call, which ended up being District 9, becoming District 9, right? Without a Cause, which ended up turning into Fahrenheit 451. There was errors, right? So
Yeah.
Wetlands error, Bond Street error, Coney Island High error for New
Yeah.
York. for hardcore at least, right? You know, so
I'm gonna tell you just something funny. We went to I took my family to Hawaii a couple years ago, and we were in Kona and we got tattoos. And I'm talking with the artist who is from fucking New York,
Mike
and
Ledger.
and we ended up bonding over fucking New York hardcore, dude.
Was his name Mike Ledger?
Now it was
No.
hold on, I
Okay.
got Lions.
Lions.
Lions is his
Okay.
name.
That's awesome. Well, shout out to I thought Mike Ledger just recently passed away. He's a legendary tattoo artist
Yeah,
from Long Island. He tattooed a bunch of the VOD guys, right? So, um, rest in peace, right? Shout out to him. He
for
just
sure.
recently. So,
Yeah, just like a few days ago, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, fuck. But it's funny how that connects people literally anywhere in the fucking world.
sure,
Like that, New York hardcore has such a had such an impact on music that I, it transverses styles,
sure,
you know?
sure. I want to say I don't, man, I don't know the exact quote, but there's a quote out there by Scott Vogel that I think perfectly describes hardcore. I wish I could find it online or something, but he perfectly describes it. And basically what he's saying is it's just about being friends,
Yeah,
right? Friendships that go beyond, that from here to across the other side of the world in Europe. You know what I mean? That you can bond just for music, right? And I think hardcore is probably one of the rarer scenes that they do that. Obviously, that happens in metal as
yeah.
well. I think hardcore is a little more, I don't know, man, a little more friendship style.
Tighter brotherhood, I think, because
Yeah,
it's I see it as like, hardcore is like everyone comes from the fucking streets. You come from nothing and you build something together, right?
sure. Everyone knows each other. Everyone grew up kind of basically, people are related somehow to other, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just, it's so, everyone's so intertwined in New York, at least in the New York hardcore scene. It's kind of ridiculous.
yeah,
Everyone, each other, it's a big, like a big family, right? So,
yeah. Fuck yeah. But I think metal overall is also like that. Like
sure.
we did Headbangers Boat in October and there was no there was no gatekeeping. You
Yeah,
fucking like what you
sure,
like. We're there
sure,
as a family,
sure.
so that was
I did the what was it, the Motorhead cruise
oh yeah.
for Slayer, and in general, man, it was really cool. Like everybody was super cool. I didn't know what to expect, right? So because you kind of just were in the mix, at
Yeah.
that point. It was kind of, it was just weird because usually at shows we're very isolated, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We're on stage, backstage working or whatever for the techs at least. We're not like in the mix with the audience.
Right.
And that cruise, we were literally in the mix. It was kind of weird, man.
Yeah, just kind of fucking
It
like
was fun, but it was just I wasn't used to it. You know what I
right.
mean? So I had my family on the cruise too, so it was it was a little weird.
Was it a good experience though, like
Yeah,
overall?
absolutely. It was fun. There was a couple instances where just I can't explain it. I guess rabid fans or whatever, right?
Oh
So,
yeah.
but other than that, yeah, it was a fun experience. I'm not a big fan of cruises to begin
No.
with, but that was my first experience on a cruise. But unfortunately, I didn't like it enough to do it again.
Oh,
So
that's
I can't,
no, that's
you won't be catching me on any cruises anytime soon, right?
that-
So
that's fair. Like it's not for everyone though.
yeah,
I think that's the cool thing about it. I love it. I fucking growing up in Michigan, there was literally water everywhere. So we're always on a lake, skiing, swimming, fishing, fucking whatever.
yeah.
So like to go out on the cruise, it was my first cruise doing Headbangers Boat. It was like, man, this is
I'm sure that vibe is so just fun, right? So
oh
I've heard
yeah.
a lot of stories about that particular that Slam of Gods, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that cruise is it's extremely fun, right? I've
Yeah.
heard nothing but good things about that. So
Oh yeah, killer bands, dude, and the way
sure.
I'm not sure how the Motorhead cruise was, but the way I think they had four stages set up.
Yeah. Yep. It was like a theater, an outdoor one, right? So
Yep.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it was cool as fuck. They tried to do one like on the basketball court in the back, but the weather, like,
Yeah. Whether it's always the one for the Motorhead cruise, I think we got hit with weather at one point too, right? So there was like a canceled event, you know what I mean? One of the
yeah,
bands could play or something, right? So That
Yeah.
happens. That's, outdoor shows, man. Look what happened in Louisville
This
last.
year. Yeah.
We tried. We fucking tried, Slayer. We were the crew was we were there all fucking day. You
Yeah.
know, but the weather it just was unsafe, right? So
You'll be back. You'll be back here
yeah,
in a few months.
sure. I think it's what, September again, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always the last weekend in September, and I can only assume that you guys are doing Friday night, but I'm not sure if they've put the schedule together for it yet. So
Hey man, most of the time I find out when you guys find out, man.
yeah,
That's you know
I
what I mean? I get maybe a week, maybe a week ahead, a heads up ahead of everyone
right,
else. But normally, man, sometimes the announcements I get hit with announcements. I don't get a heads up
right.
at all. None of this shit.
Well,
Even when the band announced the final tour, none of us, nobody got a heads up. Everyone just saw the announcement. I was like, oh, what's this?
I guess we're
We
going
got
again.
we got texts afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But like with the initial, it got sent to me, and I was like, "Whoa, what's this?" Okay,
you're like, oh shit,
yeah, news to me.
how fucking funny is that? But I guess at the end of the day, they really, especially like those fucking three shows, they were trying to keep as close to as close to the chest as possible, so that shit wasn't
Sure.
leaking everywhere.
Well, I knew we were doing something. I just didn't know what.
Oh yeah.
So I had a heads up. I can't remember, but that I just didn't know what. And then when it gets announced, that's when oh, okay, cool. Let's
Yeah.
find out. Oh, that's what we're doing,
That's what
right?
we're
So,
doing. All right.
all right,
Yeah.
cool. I mean, it's whatever. Didn't
Yeah.
really.
Well, and that part of it is cool. I literally live like 10 minutes from that venue. So it's super easy, for me in and
Sure.
out.
I've done that venue. I've done that festival a couple of times now.
Yeah, you were with Rancid, I think, year
Yeah,
before
the year
last, right?
before, and then I think I want to say I did it with Slayer as well, a couple
Hmm.
years back too, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, probably 2017 or 2018 with Slayer.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I remember them getting bats, right? To get
Yeah.
the little
The
slug.
Louisville Sluggers. Yeah. Yeah, Louisville's got a lot of really cool shit. And it's funny, obviously Rancid and Slayer, for me, those two are like they're two of my favorites, dude. I I
Too.
I could fucking listen to both those bands all day, every day and not even like shy away.
Unfortunately, they're too far apart on the spectrum from each
Right.
other. I think to ever like I would have loved if that they could ever they of a tour like that could
Oh
happen.
yeah.
But I don't think like I don't know.
Well, I
Uh,
don't know, like
well now it's never gonna happen.
right,
Maybe one show,
maybe a
right?
show,
So
right? But whatever, we've got them both and that's what
yeah,
fucking
sure,
matters, which is super
sure.
cool. Um like did that I guess the end of Slayer like play into you like going and playing with 25 to Life at all?
Sure. If I was full-time touring, I probably wouldn't have even thought about attempting
Yeah.
to do something like this, right? So um we're taking it serious. We jam once a week,
Mhm.
right? We definitely, we're uh uh we're taking it serious, right? We're not just like seeing each other once a month and being like, it's a real thing. We're on a group text. We talk constantly about shit, songs. Fred, forget about it. He's a fucking riff machine, right? So he's constantly sending riffs out to us,
Hell
like,
yeah.
how's this? So
Hell yeah. Well, I guess we got to get you guys and fucking Smoke AD to get something
yeah,
happening
oh
and
yeah, we're definitely going to be doing something with those guys for sure. Something this year, hopefully,
hell
right?
yeah.
If not this year, next year for sure. But you got to remember too, we're not fully active.
Sure.
Right? Everyone is Jay has a lot going on. He has Bayway, right? His label, his fucking studio. Um, and then the rest of the band we have everyone has family and kids,
Right.
right? Jobs, right? So, you won't really we'll you'll get us for a couple of shows a year, right?
Right.
That's all you're getting really out of us,
Hey,
right?
whatever, dude.
So,
Like I
and it's
think
got to be on a Saturday. So,
between 5 and 7 p.m.
yeah.
that's all you get.
So
Like
yeah. Well, the Sunday show we're doing with Strife in February is a
on the
matinee.
ninth. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Sunday matinee. So anyone that is going to come to that, please come early. I think doors are at 1 o'clock, right? So
Hell yeah.
at the church in Philadelphia. So it should
Those
be
are
Strife has never. played the church, and I don't think, as far as I know, 25 to Life has never played the church either. So
Okay.
yeah,
Those
church is
matinee
the
shows are
venue. It's
weird.
a venue in Philadelphia, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I was looking at the flyer.
yeah, shout out to Joe Hardcore for putting on shows there, right? So
That's fucking cool. But like venues like that are super cool. The little punk houses and churches and we've got a new venue here called Portal, and it's a fucking really cool like a, an art collective space, I guess for
sure.
lack of a better term.
That's
There's
cool
like,
though.
oh, it's cool as fuck. They've got record store, tattoo parlor, there's a recording studio, there's a shibari
Yeah.
like knot lady.
Louisville, as far as I can remember, too, has always been very music friendly, right? Didn't you
Oh
guys,
yeah,
what was that festival? Crazy Fest or something by the,
Crazy Fest, yeah.
right? There was, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
that, you guys always had music, but always music friendly there, right? So I always remember stopping there on tours, right?
Yeah,
So
there. I think a version of Crazy Fest is coming back. Uh,
cool.
so they're doing Fest now, which is I'm probably fucking way out of line, but I think Knock Loose's manager puts on the LDB Fest.
Okay, cool.
So like this year was Hatebreed and Obituary.
Nice. That's
Like,
actually who I did Crazy Fest with back, I don't know, I can't even remember how many years ago, right? So with
yeah,
him, right? So
yeah, that was 20 years ago.
yeah, it was, I think it was, I want to say it was Hatebreed and Mastodon, maybe.
Wow.
It's right
That's
before Mastodon broke, right? So
yeah. That's wild. Yeah, so that's probably about 20 years ago.
yeah. Wow. All right. I just fucking felt really old right now. So all
Yeah. Dude, I
right. Yeah,
know.
that's a long time ago. Wow. Okay, cool.
Like yeah, it was a long fucking time ago. Like if you had a
Sometimes
kid at
it,
that
it
time, it's
seems,
almost old enough to drink.
yeah. It's sometimes, man, when it comes to like the touring, it's kind of just one big tour, right? So
Yeah.
kind of, don't realize, holy shit, that's 20 years ago. Wow, cool. So
Lack of sleep, time runs together. Jesus Christ. That's fucking wild.
yeah.
Hmm. So did you got into real estate too, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And at this point, I do that on the side.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm part of a global network called Heavy Music,
Heavy realty. Yeah.
Heavy Realty, I mean, excuse me, Heavy Realty, and Juliet, she runs it, and it's a network of all musicians or people that are involved in the music world somehow,
Yeah.
um, and that are now doing real estate, right? So it's it's pretty cool, right? So
Yeah.
everyone talks, there's a group thread, a text or whatever, everyone, it's Chris Beatty from Hatebreed's also involved in it,
Yeah.
right? I think Chuck Billy from Testament, he does a bunch of real estate now too. I've
Yeah,
talked
I
to him.
think he does like on the construction side though, right?
He does it's kind of like it's a little more complicated what he does, but it's cool what he does. He basically comes in and helps you and fixes up your house, right? And tries to make it, takes over your mortgage if you're behind on your mortgage and stuff. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, he's involved in some really cool stuff. So
Yeah, people I don't think a lot of people realize the amount of like people in the music industry that do other things
yeah.
just to, stay busy or to make another dollar somewhere.
And Juliet's involvement, she dates uh
David from Havoc.
yeah, so it's everyone's just kind of fucking connected, man. It's crazy. That's how
Yeah,
I got involved with Heavy Realty. She reached out to me, right?
right.
So I've met Dave, I think maybe once before that. You know what I mean? But we knew of each other, just through mutual friends or whatever. And that's how I got connected with Juliet, right? So it's just crazy small fucking world, man.
Yeah, it
So
really is. I
yeah.
do I do real estate too.
Oh, well then, are you part of the group then?
I'm not. I've talked with Juliet a few times about trying to get her on the podcast, and we just can't get our fucking schedule to align. She runs between Hawaii and
Yeah,
Colorado,
oh, I know. Yeah, I just I talk I talk I usually text with her like once a week, right? So, um, damn, yeah, we should. I'll mention this to her. So next time I
All right.
talk.
Yeah,
So
we'll fucking make something happen. It's what I do for a living, so like
Yeah, we got to get you involved in, man.
I'll
We can't
fucking go all the time. Yeah.
got to get you involved in that, right? So,
Hell yeah.
you know, how's the market in Louisville? It's see, so in New York, it's a bit different. New York is a different animal than anywhere else because we have a rental market,
Yeah.
right? A very prosperous rental market, whereas anywhere else, it's mostly just sales,
Yep.
right? If you're doing real estate,
Yeah,
commercial,
I think there's
residential.
a couple of like key areas like Dallas has got a pretty prosperous rental market. I think
Sure.
LA does as well. But
Yes,
like our rental market honestly is
it's nothing.
yeah,
People can go rent places on their own. They don't need a real estate agent. That's
yeah.
the difference, right? Whereas in New York, it's just the markets, it's just so fast and it's so many fucking loops and holes you got to jump through and rules and whatever. So um you can do it without an agent, but it's advantageous to have an agent, you know?
Yeah. Well, you need someone to look out for you. I
Sure.
assume that it's, very similar with rentals in New York as it is with sales most everywhere. You want someone that's fighting
It's
for you on your side, right?
well, I mean, if you're like you're dealing with a co-op rental, man, it's almost like dealing with a sale. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You gotta give up just as much information, paperwork, right?
Fuck.
Board interview, you know what I mean? The whole nine, right? So, for people that don't know, I guess most people don't know what a co-op is. I'm assuming.
Right.
They're I think only in New York. If I
No,
there may be a couple other places, but they're more
they're more prominent in
here,
New York.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
So,
quite a few in Michigan as well.
okay. So, for people that don't know, co-op, you don't actually own the property, you own shares in the building, and you're supplemented the shares by living in the apartment that you live in. But you can't, there's certain rules, right? You have a board, you can't just knock down a wall and put something up or whatever. You have to get board approval, right? Everything. So, whereas if you own a
Just
condominium, which is what most people own, if they live in a building, right? It's you can do whatever the fuck you want. You own the real property. You literally own the space, right? The physical property.
hmm.
So at least that's how it is in New York. So
Now, I mean, that's probably right. That probably makes a lot of like that makes a lot of sense. I never thought about it in that, in that way, really.
yeah, that's the
Um,
that's the clear difference that most people get. Like, what's the difference? Like
yeah,
that's the clear. Otherwise, like the both um co-ops and condos have HOA fees,
yeah.
right? Similar in that sense. I don't know anywhere else in New York, condos are more expensive than co-ops. Co-ops are affordable, more affordable,
Uh,
right?
so same way, it's the same way in Michigan. I think the fees, their maintenance fees are pretty comparable to each other, what
Sure.
I remember.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
co-ops,
it's co-ops. It just depends on your building.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you live in a condo with a lot of amenities, you probably have a high HOA fee, right?
Oh
Because
yeah,
that's how they maintain those facilities, right? If you have a
yeah,
gym, a pool, you know what I mean? It's not, that stuff ain't it's not free technically, right? You're paying for it. You're just not
yeah,
directly paying for it, right? It's out of coming that's what your HOA fee is, right? You're paying
yeah.
for taxes and
Hmm.
everything, right? Same thing with the co-op, right? Now a co-op sometimes the fees can be higher without the amenities, right? Just because old building, pre-war buildings, maybe. So
Oh yeah.
there's a
Yeah, a
lot of,
lot of
you know,
maintenance, especially with, did you see all that shit with like the condos in Florida? They're
oh yeah. Oh yeah. That
like,
fuck was a nightmare, man.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
they're fighting all the insurance companies are fighting the FEMA stuff for flooding too.
sure. Because
Uh,
FEMA's not wanting to pay out anyone, right? So
right. Well, like I read an article probably like 2 weeks ago. They said like Fort Myers Beach, um,
wiped out
they
probably.
they were it did get wiped out, but they were changing it where you couldn't get insurance there anymore. And they
Yeah,
had to like go back and change it now instead of paying I'm just gonna make up numbers, instead of paying like
for sure.
$1,000 a month
Now you
for
gotta pay like
your insurance,
2,000. Yeah, you're
or
double.
like five,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah,
Like it,
absolutely. So I lived in a flood zone in New York when I owned at one point I owned a house and I had to get separate flood insurance.
yeah,
My homeowner's insurance would not give me it. Just, nope, we're not
right,
giving. I live in a flood zone. I kind of need it. Nope, had to
yeah.
get separate, right? So
What
crazy.
so what do you remember what you were paying at that time for that flood insurance?
Wasn't it was reasonable. I think I want to say it was like maybe $2,000 a year.
Oh, that's not terrible.
So I'm saying it was reasonable, right? So, but the point was, it had to be a separate
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Entity. I think it was like, my flood insurance came from Allstate. My homeowner's insurance came from Travelers or something,
Yeah.
whatever the difference was, right? So
Yeah.
it's two
That's
separate entities.
we saw it. I try to advise people on that also is like it's okay to get into a floodplain. Just be aware of
Just get insurance, man. You're
what that's
fine.
going to
Yeah,
be,
exactly.
right?
Listen, I've never lived by the water. And when I owned my house, I lived by the water. I learned a lot of lessons, right? So, which I probably should have researched before I lived by the water, right? So, but there's just things you should know, that's it. If you can live with those things, then there's nothing wrong with living by the water, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
it's,
fucking
it's everything is preference, man. You know what I mean? It's all just what you're willing to put up with,
what you can tolerate.
yeah,
Yeah.
what you can tolerate for what you want. Like if you want to live by the water, ask yourself, are you willing to tolerate having floods once in a while, or maybe even the ocean coming up and swallowing your whole goddamn fucking house, right? So the chance of that is, I don't know what the chance, but it's possible, right?
Well,
It's more
dude,
possible than the guy that lives 100 miles inland,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Wow.
Just by logic.
Where
So
where are they doing now? Where is it? The fucking coastline is receding and houses are falling into it up there in the northeast. Um,
it's crazy.
where
I
the
mean, the planet's, everything's changing. So,
yeah, well, especially you're living by the water, you've got those waves coming in and out. Your shit's gonna erode because it's not like you have a
I
bunch of
mean,
trees that are holding the fucking land together there.
listen, you just got to look at history.
Yeah,
The continents didn't look like this at one point, right?
right.
So what does that tell you? Stuff shifts and erodes, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure, over a long period of time, but I'm sure that this planet is an ever changing, ever growing
right.
thing,
Yeah,
right? So it's massive. There's so many parts and moving parts to it. Some things you just have to accept in just the rules of nature, right? So if you want to live by the water, you might get swallowed up by the water. If
yeah.
you, it's just what you want, right? So
Well, you might not want to get swallowed up, but yeah, you've got to, it's what I always look at it like a scale, right?
sure.
What do I want more? Do I want to fucking live just like that? Want to live closer to the water or do I want to
And,
be,
that theory that also goes to like home buying, right? Or renting. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Right? So you have a list of wants, right? You write out, I have to have. And then as you start looking in the market, you start going through your list and going, okay, this is not possible at all. Or, you know what I
right.
mean? I can't afford this or this is not really it's not logical or whatever. So, there's things you're going to settle for, right? There's some things you're going to insist on having though, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, like if
What
you're renting an apartment in New York, I'm assuming some people, would insist on having laundry in the building, right? That's an amenity they want to have, which is not unreasonable, right? So,
Sure. Huh. That that brings up so many questions for me. Like, what does that look like? Are there a lot of buildings that don't have laundry in the building?
oh no, depends on the outer boroughs. There's most buildings have laundry, right? In New York, in Manhattan, that's where it could like if you're in a pre-war building, you might not have laundry in your building,
Okay.
right? So,
Hmm. Yeah,
you know,
never.
how
And
about if you're renting a brownstone in Harlem or uptown or in the city somewhere, you might not have access to laundry units, right? So,
hmm, that's so wild. So wild to think about that because I feel like almost uh most everything here they've got laundry at least within the buildings. Like we just
sure.
but I
Most places
manage
have them. Most places
yeah,
have laundry, but there are, it's there are places that don't
that
have
don't. Yeah.
them.
Yeah, you just don't ever I guess I don't ever think about it.
Yeah.
So what does the average like price point look on the sale side in your area?
I mean, it just depends on what you're looking for. It varies, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It varies. For me, and I live in Queens. I'm in the outer borough.
Mm,
I'm not in the city. Um, it just depends on what you're looking for, man. You could get anything from I don't know, 400,000 or 500,000 to over 1 million, right? Depends on what, if you're looking for an actual house or an apartment, co-op condo, right?
Yeah.
Price
Uh,
varies in that sense, right? So
sure.
co-ops are the most affordable, I think. Um, then there's condos and then there's homes, right? I think condos and homes are pretty,
Comparable.
so you can get pretty close in price, right? So
Okay. Huh.
especially the
We're
new condominiums that went up to have, all the newer buildings here in Queens have laundry, gym, you know what I mean? Rooftop, some kind of terrace or whatever, like, common area, so
yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. We're starting to like Louisville is starting to build up,
words, yeah,
which is it's so funny. It started Louisville was kind of small and there were all the, like suburbs, and now all the suburbs are fucking Louisville, so the whole county is Louisville now, and then to be suburbs, you got to be like outside of the county.
yeah,
But to watch us start to like build up, um, it's it's neat watching this tiny town like transform,
sure.
come from, like I said, I grew up in Detroit, so coming from that to this is
How long
it
you
was
lived in Louisville?
shit, I've been here
Most
this
of your
time, no, not most of it.
Okay,
This time I've been here for 14 years.
okay. So feel
So,
home then for sure, right? Feel like
yeah. Oh, it definitely does. This is it's so easy to get fucking everywhere,
sure,
and everyone essentially knows everyone. If you lived here, I probably would know 10 people that fucking knew you,
sure.
you
That's cool.
know?
That's crazy. Small town vibes, right?
Yeah, it
So,
is. I don't even know. I don't know that we've hit a million population yet. Like when I was here,
oh, that's crazy.
yeah, it fucking is, dude.
Small town city, man. Yeah, I grew up, I was born and raised here in New York, right? So I'm definitely not a country guy or an outdoor guy. I'm a city kid, right? So,
Right. Yeah, me too. I've it's so it's so weird. I say I'm not an outdoor guy. I love to be outdoors.
oh yeah, it doesn't mean, I mean, yeah, I like being outdoors, but I mean, you stick me like in the middle of the woods. I don't, I didn't, I
Yeah.
can tie you a fucking knot. You know what I mean? That's about it,
It's
right?
a tree. What do I do?
Yeah.
Fucking
I
yeah.
don't have a tent. You know what I mean? I wouldn't know anything about how to like, live or survive outdoors. I mean, in other
Yeah.
words, right?
Dude, I'm 100% with you because I watched those survival shows and I'm like, man, it'd be kind of neat to
Scary.
know all that
Fuck that.
shit.
That would be fucking scary because
It-
unless you had somebody that knew what the hell they were doing, you're
yeah.
kind of fucked. You know what I mean? So
Well,
there's
it'd
rules
be
are
neat to
different out
fucking
in
know
that
it.
in
Oh,
that sense. So
yeah. It's similar to growing up in the fucking city.
sure,
You're gonna,
sure. Actually, absolutely. You put a country kid in the city, he's gonna
yeah,
fuck same thing, right? What the fuck is this? Oh my God, freaking out. What the fuck? Too many people. Holy shit.
yeah.
The noise, the smells, right? Everything,
It's
So
fucking wild.
sure.
Oh,
So that's the to me, I think that was for the most the best part about traveling, right? On touring was just the culture shock. You know what I mean? You go places, you're like,
yeah.
whoa, this is cool here.
What was your when you were touring, what was your favorite place to like go to?
Hmm, Amsterdam probably.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All the cafes.
Um, not just that, it's just the vibe of that city, right? It's really relaxed. Nowadays it's changed, but back then it was very just relaxed and accepting. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It wasn't like the rest of the vibe was just very different than the rest of Europe, right? So
Oh yeah.
Amsterdam was fun. I didn't I liked I enjoyed going to Japan, right? A lot just for the sense of like what I just said, it just was very different.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's very um if you've never been to Japan, you should travel there because you will get a different type of experience because it's so different than what you're used to.
Oh yeah.
You grew up in Europe or America, right? Or even South America, anywhere really, right? It's a different animal out there, man. That you're all like the minute you step out of the airport, all five senses are just like hitting. with different stuff you're not used to, right? So
Yeah,
it's a great experience if you want to go somewhere different, you know?
I fucking do. Dude, I've wanted to go to Japan for so long, and like now I read so, or I hear so much now of like there's certain places you can't go because you got fucking tattoos. You've got to like,
Ah, that's not true. It's different nowadays, right? So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe for us it was different since I've always traveled there with bands.
right.
Maybe it's a little different, but I remember I started traveling there with bands in the late 90s.
Hmm.
I would never try, definitely not to show my tattoos, right?
Sure.
So especially people you would normally think I was Japanese when I'm not, I'm Chinese, right? So I didn't want to get people think the wrong things or whatever, right? So yeah, it's but now it's different, right? So
Yeah. I think
yeah,
they still have those places, that if you've got
sure,
tattoos, they don't want any part of you. And if you're not, Japanese or from the culture, they, again, another thing, they're
sure.
like, I,
There's an
I,
infamous story in the music business. First time Pantera was out in Japan, Dimebag jumped into a pool and they drained it
oh,
afterwards, right? He got out, they drained it, right? So
hmm,
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know
have
if
to
that's
look
true or
that up.
false. Yeah, I would have to ask someone if that how true that is, right? So,
Yeah.
but I've heard that story, right?
So crazy,
It's
and
just the culture, man,
it really is, and I think like touring for bands, back in the 80s and 90s is very different than it is now. Well, I say
Oh,
80s and 90s,
absolutely.
but even 60s and 70s,
Just with
like,
the addition of the internet alone, man,
oh
oh,
yeah,
the internet changed the game. I remember
absolutely.
touring with maps, Atlas Maps. Calling promoters at 2 in the morning, I need directions to your venue, right?
Right.
What exit are you off, the highway, 95 or whatever highway we're on, 55, whatever interstate, what
Yeah.
exit, and where do I go after I get off the exit? I remember that. I remember doing that, right? That's how it was back then. I remember first time I went to Europe, I called home, I think once, because
Couldn't afford it. Yeah.
we just didn't have, yeah, you just didn't, want to run up a fucking $300,000 fucking phone bill calling home, right? So, you know what I mean? I remember there was a phone, a free one, or somebody that night we were somewhere and somebody's like, you can use that phone to call home. I was like, what?
Hell yeah.
Or the homie's like, yo, I can't wait to come home, man. So
That's fucking funny. What was like your first trip to Europe like,
it was with 25 to Life.
right?
It was in the dead ass middle of winter. I think it was this winter of 1996. And we shared a bus with Hard Response and Next Step Up. And it was about 18 of us on that fucking bus, man. And we had a month. We traveled all over Europe and we played a bunch of fucking cool shows. And it was fun. It was pre-Euro, before the Euro,
Yeah.
right? There's different currency every other day, every day or whatever, right? So that was an eye opener. That I definitely I was lucky enough where we had a bus. I was just happy, like, fuck, we're on a goddamn bus. First time in Europe, like, this is great. We're not stuck in a van, like,
Right.
great. Like, this is what more could I ask for, right? So
Yeah.
that
Hmm.
was fun. Where everyone, I get a Hard Response and Next Step Up were friends, and we were friends with Next Step Up. So at that point, once we got on the bus and started touring, everyone became friends. It became just one big hangout, right? So
Shit, that's cool.
yeah, it was a fun tour, man. It was brutal. We had some brutal fucking moments. We had people dropping off the tour. I think
Oh
two people
yeah.
tour. Yeah, two people quit the tour, right? So couldn't take it, couldn't handle it, couldn't hack it.
Well, that's a lot of fucking people on one bus, dude.
Was a brutal tour, but it was, I mean, you just had to, like, if I remember kind of deciding, like, hey, this is, shit you got to put up with, right? This is it. This is
Yeah.
the lifestyle, we can't afford our own bus, right? So, and even
Yeah.
if it could, it would sure as hell wouldn't be a fucking nice bus. So it's what it is until you can, get to the
Yep.
level of where you can afford that,
Where you
right?
can make some money. Yeah.
Sure. You're selling some records or whatever. So.
Yeah. And I
But I
guess,
mean, listen, I would do in between Slayer tours, I would come home and do tours in vans with friends.
mhm,
You know what I mean? So to me, I love touring. I loved it. I can't say I love it anymore. for the time I was doing it, I absolutely loved doing it.
Well,
So I
yeah,
would matter to me if I was on a bus or a van, or let's just go, let's go. We have gear, we have shows booked, let's go. You know,
yeah. Do you remember like where it changed for you from like loving touring to like, okay, this is just the job.
when my daughter was born,
Okay. Yeah.
I kind of like that was the tipping point for me. I was like, I shouldn't really be out here, right? I should really be home. And then leaving was really hard, right? Got even harder with when so, and then it just worked out, right? I always said I would go out. I would stay as long as Slayer would do stuff. I would keep touring.
Right.
And they decided not to do anything. So I was like, all right, easy decision for me, man. Cool. I'm out. See ya. I
That's
could easily stayed on, right? Kept
yeah.
touring, but I just, my heart wasn't in it. And honestly, like, what am I gonna do? I just worked for Slayer for 20 years, man.
Right.
I'm not gonna go have, I stayed with them for the fun factor. It's fun to tour with those guys,
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
but
that's
I
a
don't
whole
that kind
nother
of fun
level,
anywhere
you know.
else. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
a family vibe. It just everyone that same crew for years, decades, So
Hmm.
to me, there was just no point in going on, right?
Yeah.
So my daughter hated it. Once she wanted me
Sure.
home. So,
Yeah. I was talking with Mike Cools, said the same thing. When his fucking daughter was born, he was like, I just want to be home with her. Shit, I get it.
yeah, you just kind of don't want to deal with it anymore, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get it.
it's it's a lifestyle. What people don't understand, it's a complete total lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I just got tired of living. I just couldn't keep up with that lifestyle, right? So
Yeah.
just being away all the time, just having for me, especially when I was on tour, I never I tried not to get distracted, right? Which meant, not really being in contact with
No
home is
phone calls and shit.
yeah. So it
Yeah.
just wasn't,
Yeah, that was always
very viable for a very healthy and good home life,
yeah.
you know. And
Yeah.
the tipping point was when my daughter was born. I was like, all right, I can't keep up both. I can't keep this up anymore, right? So
Yeah.
one or the other.
Well shit. And I see you go out and spend a lot of time with your daughter, which is uh
Sure.
it's really cool to see. I think a lot of people don't realize, especially you saying that, right? Just musicians in general, they do want to be home with their fucking families. Like their job is to go out and be on the road. I mean, John Campbell from Lamb of God,
He's a great father, right? So
dude, he said, when we chatted a couple weeks ago, he said, I just want to be home. I want to scare the fucking kids for Halloween. Like I don't want to be on the road. I want to be at home. Like
yeah,
he's like, but this is the fucking
oh,
job.
yeah, it's tough, man. So I was I want to say luck. I'm blessed to be able to have the choice to step away from that.
Right.
And I'm in a great position where if I wanted to, I could probably go back to that. But I have a job at home, and I'm a local one union stagehand full time, right? So that's
Yeah.
keeps me fucking busy. So
Yeah.
and I see my daughter every weekend. I I can't ask her anymore, right? So
Yeah. No, that's cool as fuck.
sure.
It's still in the same line of work. You just get to do it from home.
Yeah, it's similar. I look, I get to come home every night.
Yeah.
That to me is all the difference in the world, right? Because I'm used to sleeping in a hotel room or a bus,
Yeah.
a bunk, right? So that was home for me for over 20 years,
So
you
what's
know.
it feel
Oh,
like being home every night now?
I mean, I've been home. It took me a minute.
Yeah.
I've been retired since
About,
2019.
about 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not fully adjusted yet, which is kind of crazy to say. There's still habits that, I'm still, you know, um, but it took me a little bit in the first couple years to get used to it, right? But I also when I retired, I was working a lot, right? So that kept me kind of, I just focused on that, right? Where
Right.
I kind of almost had to you were forced to like get used to it, right? So figure it out type of
Yeah.
situation, you know?
Well, that's got to be weird. You came off the road and like what 3 or 4 months later, COVID.
Listen, I don't know if you know this, man, but Slayer going away started COVID.
Yeah, well,
Everyone
that's
should know that.
literally what I fucking said. I was like, really?
Yeah.
Slayer was like, hang it up,
Yeah,
and
listen, the timing for me was impeccable in that sense. Um, I was like, oh, great, what doesn't affect me. But even though I did lose work, local work, you know what I mean, during that time. But either way, I was out of work. But it just I didn't at that point, man, we didn't even know if the industry was ever going to come back, right? So
sure. Yeah, I mean, I feel like in some ways it still hasn't fucking recovered to what it was.
um, I don't know. I've done a few tours, right, since last year and this year, and it seems like it's just kind of back to what it was.
Yeah, I think
But
ticket sales have really changed since COVID. Before it was you'd have a lot of like early fucking sales on tickets
sure,
and well, at least what I've noticed, locally is you're not getting most of your ticket sales until,
last minute
that yeah,
situation. Yeah, sure. And there's now for the bigger concerts, there's ticket insurance,
yeah.
right? If your show gets canceled for whatever reason, you could buy insurance. I think I'm not sure how that works. So I heard somebody was talking to me about it the other day. So
Yeah, I've heard like horror stories about the ticket insurance. It's like they try to get out of it for any dumb fucking reason, which I think is most insurance companies,
that's all
you know.
insurance.
Right.
What they do, that's what they're set up to do, right? So
Yeah,
take your money and not pay you money, right? So
that's it. Yeah, which is so wild. I pay this fucking insurance so you'll cover my ass. And when I get in trouble, you're like, I don't think so. Like,
there's all kinds of stuff we can go. We can
yeah,
sit and talk for hours about all
all
kinds
the
of
bullshit.
yeah. So
Yeah, that's the fucking truth.
it's
Well,
a corporation, it's an entity, it's privately owned. They can fucking basically do whatever the fuck they want,
yeah,
right? So you tell me, it's an industry that relies on people being sick to make money.
yeah, yeah. And then, right, we could go fucking deeper in that and look at big pharma and blah blah fucking blah.
We could
Yes.
talk about that for days.
So let's not.
Yeah.
Let's not talk shit
Right.
about this one of the shittiest industries in the
Yeah.
fucking world.
So
So, you guys are 25 to life, writing music. You got a few songs. Do you have a timeline on when you want to have something new out, or just whenever it happens, it happens?
I mean, I'd love to start talking with people about putting something out, right? So
Yeah.
I think we're talking to a couple of people.
Okay.
So hopefully something later this year we would have new material out, I know we
Cool.
want to definitely like go overseas, right? And we can't really do that until we put something out, right? So
Yeah.
that to me is the main focus is to write songs and put something out. So
Cool. Right on. You
yeah,
guys are fucking jamming weekly. You got the show coming up February 9th in Philly
Philadelphia. Yep.
with Strife, which that'll be a fun fucking show.
Yes, yes. I've never over the years I've never seen Strife play actually. So let alone
Really?
play with them. Yeah. So this is going to be fun for me, right? It's first time for me. So
That blows my mind. All your years of,
never came.
yeah,
So for me, when I was growing up, I saw most of the bands obviously growing up in New York.
yep,
But then as I got older and started touring, all the concerts and bands I saw were always on tour in Europe because every summer I'd be in Europe and we would play festivals, and European festivals feature all kinds of bands.
right,
Right. So you would, always, to me, it was always a homie festival, right? So you'd run and just go to the festival and just run in the homies all day, right? So you watch, I've watched Terror at festivals, I've watched Madball festivals, Agnostic Front. Agnostic Front was direct support for Slayer festival once
right.
uh, when I was working for them. You know what I mean? So it's just, that's the best part about going to Europe in that sense, right? In the festivals, at least.
Yeah. How do you feel that the US festivals are starting to compare to the European festivals?
Um, they're they have their moments, at least we have festivals now,
Yeah,
right? You know what I mean? Um, but I just don't think it's ever going to be the same because it's different. Europe is a culture thing,
Yeah.
you know. So the people going to that festival probably going to that festival for the last 15 years. You know what I mean? They just
Yeah.
do it every summer, right? So it's, they're just it's a different culture, it's a different environment, right? So I think it'll never be the same because they're different places,
Dude, they have so many festivals over there too.
It's all about festivals,
Like, holy
right?
fuck.
If you're a music fan and you've never been to Europe, you're honestly missing out
Right.
because you can go to a festival and watch, Slayer on one stage and Limp Bizkit on the next stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And go turn around and we've played with fucking goddamn anyone from Pearl Jam to um Neil Neil
You were
Young.
you were gonna say Neil Diamond.
Yeah, I was gonna say Neil Young.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Jay-Z played with one time in Denmark, Roskilde Festival. Jay-Z and Slayer, those were the two bands on the
Hmm.
stage.
That's weird, but how did it go over there? Like,
It's great. The shows are great.
yeah,
Yeah, they're great. Some shows obviously for Slayer, you could tell it's not your typical Slayer show or Slayer crowd.
sure.
The shows were never bad, you
That's
know?
fucking cool.
Yeah. It's Europe, man.
Yeah.
They're just into it,
Go to
So,
Europe, motherfuckers.
yeah, if you're a fan of heavy music, you should really go check out festivals in Europe.
Yeah. Hellfest, like that is one. I think for me, like Hellfest is one
There's
that
so
I've
many.
I've
There's
got
so
to
many.
fucking get
Hellfest is
to.
the most popular,
Yeah,
right? You'll probably catch the most, the one band, you know what I mean? One stop shop, right? You go there and you can catch every band you want to see.
every
Like,
fucking band
yeah,
ever. Yeah.
over 3 days, I think it is, right? So, but I mean, there's so many. There's
Yeah.
Grass Pop, there's fucking Download. There's so many festivals
Yeah.
in
Bloodstock,
you
fucking.
can go to. There's so many good festivals. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's fucking dope. Hmm. Man, now I gotta fucking come on, wife. We gotta go to fucking Europe now.
you should, man. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure you could probably do some recording out there as well, right? So that'd be cool
Yeah.
to so overseas or something.
Yeah, we're actually, I think next year, 26 is our 10 year. I think we're gonna go to Greece for 10 days or something.
Yeah. Make sure you go see some volcanoes and shit,
Oh
man.
fuck yeah.
Greece is nice, right? It's a good vacation spot. So
Yeah. That's her fucking that's her like dream spot. I'm like, all right, like that's what you want. That's where we're going.
good. It's better than other, I don't know, it could be worse, right?
It could definitely be worse. Let's go to Antarctica. Like for fucking
Yeah, you know what I
what?
mean? So
No. No, fuck no. Okay. 25 to life, couple of shows coming up. Hopefully you guys have some new music out by the end of the year. Um,
it's a
send
slow
me
process. I apologize. We're
ah,
busy. It's a slow process, but we are definitely working on writing shit.
it
So
it's part of growing up, right? Like you have other things that take a priority. You got bills and shit you got to worry about. Um, send me your fucking show flyers. I know you sent me the
yeah, I think
Strife.
I sent you a bunch of stuff already. So
Yeah,
if
you
there's anything missing, just hit me up.
okay. Yeah, if you want to keep me in with any of that shit, just send it to me and I'll post it and get it out there. And for Warren, dude, I greatly appreciate you taking time out of your night to come hang
Absolutely.
out and chat with me. It was really fun, like getting to know you a bit more than what I just see online. So
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate anyone that wants to spend time and talk to me. Man, I'm just fucking some dude, right? So,
that's all we all are, right?
man,
Just fucking people, dude. Well,
awesome.
go enjoy your night and fucking
Yeah.
spend some time with your daughter.
Yeah, I'll see her this weekend for sure. Let me know when, everything goes live or on air, whatever. I'll help promote it, push it, whatever, you know what I mean, through the band's page and my page or
Cool.
what.
Yeah, I'll fucking message you and let you know like date. It always goes at midnight, so I'll just throw you the date so
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
aware and send you a link and all that good stuff.
Cool. I'll
All
help
right.
promote. Sure. Awesome, man. Thank
Oh
you for
yeah.
your
Have
time.
a
Keep
great
in
night,
touch. You
dude.
got my email and everything, so hit me up.
Fuck yeah, brother. Have a great night.
Take care, man. Thanks.
See ya.